Welcome to the Simply Real Life podcast. I'm Sarah, the founder of Simply Real Health, here to help you simplify, amplify, and elevate your life. This show is for those of you who want the real talk on how to live a more intuitive and intentional life, a life that's healthy from the inside out, and one that feels more effortless, aligned, simple, and more alive. We cover it all, from health, wellness, mindset, motherhood, daily habits and rituals, to business and relationships, creativity and growth, and tiny tricks to feeling your best, and the energetics behind it all filled with personal stories, unfiltered conversations, and of course, answering all of your burning questions, all in the way of simplicity and keeping it real, so that you can create your own version of your healthiest life. Let's do it. Hello, and welcome back to the show this week. I am so glad that you are here. Thank you for taking a second to pour into yourself right now. There's so many things that you could probably be doing right now, but the fact that you are here listening and wanting to make your life better in some way, wanting to make your life healthier in some way, wanting to learn, wanting to just up-level your life and continue getting better and more wise and more knowledgeable about the things that you're putting on and in your body and the ways that we think and the ways we move through our day. It's just amazing. So thank you for being here. I see you. I feel you. So thank you for all the messages the last couple of weeks, feedback about the podcast in general. It's been so encouraging to see and hear some feedback about what you guys think of the show, what you are wanting to cover. And mostly it has all been just so positive and so encouraging. Keep going, and that you all are loving it and you're loving the wide range of topics, and that they're short and concise and really help you get what you need and think about the bigger picture at the same time. So I am thrilled about that. Thank you all for those who have left some comments and feedback. So today's episode is going to be another hopefully short and very helpful one. And it's about a question that I get asked a lot, which always makes me giggle, because if you saw the way that I usually walk around most days, like I am not wearing makeup, I'm not really doing my hair, I'm not really dressed, I'm just wearing workout clothes so I can be going on a walk at any moment's notice, heading to a workout. And in this season of life, it's that extra time feels like I am always wanting to maximize it in that way. So for the most part, people who know me in real life and that see me walk around, it is so funny that I get questions about clothes and hair, because I am not someone who gets ready every single day or wears makeup every day or even doing my hair. So right now in this moment, because I'm nursing so much and have the kids a lot, that my hair is usually pulled back and it's in a messy bun. But today's question is all about holistic hair care. And I love this question because I think it's a very natural progression of when you start to eat healthier and think about your food in different ways and start to lean and gear towards more real food. Eventually comes a turning point where you start looking at other areas of your life too, whether that's your cleaning products or your laundry detergent or your makeup or different household products or things that you're using that have been your default or your norm or the things that you grew up with, and then starting to actually stop and question, what are the ingredients in those things? You know, like if I'm paying so much attention to my food, what are the ingredients in the other things that I'm also using? And then I think that becomes the tip of the iceberg, where you start to realize like, oh, marketing is just marketing, whether it's food companies or it's product companies or makeup companies or hair care companies, like all of these different personal care products, which women are the number one consumers of. You start to look around and realize like, what is in all of the stuff that I'm putting on my body, putting in my body, putting around my body, putting around my house that I'm breathing in. And it can open up this whole other world of like, I need to be a more informed consumer and not believe the marketing and not just follow along because it's what I've always done or the brands I've always purchased before. Actually, what is in that? And is there a way to upgrade that or a way to have a less toxic version of that or less chemicals or less of an impact on what I'm doing? And I think hair is one of the things that maybe comes after, depending which way you start with things, but usually comes after looking at your skincare. It usually comes after looking at your makeup. We have these like deep emotional attachments to the products that we use and maybe to the smell that they have, where you feel like nothing natural or less toxic has worked for you. And I feel like for me, that was totally true in my own experience. It was one of the last things that I was able to find really good replacements for. And then starting to understand how to really nourish your hair and holistically nourish your scalp and take better care of it, both of the products that you're using for the outside, but also for the internal. So I just wanted to do an episode all about hair today. And I know that hair can also be a very emotional topic, can be a very sensitive topic. It's something that changes so often for women as we go through different hormonal shifts and changes in our lives. Hair can be a big part of our identity too. And so it is this sort of tender topic, I think. And there's a lot of people, a lot of questions, I think, especially after you have kids or in a postpartum phase or going through different health things, transitions, maybe it's perimenopause, menopause, like there's so many different life transitions that actually do affect our hair, the quality, the texture. It changes over the course of our life. And so I think finding ways to support the health of our hair and doing so from the inside out, kind of covering all the bases is what I'm going to talk you through today. Because it's not just as simple as take this supplement or use this product, but I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. Your hair is oftentimes a reflection of what is going on inside your body hormonally, or maybe it's blood sugar related, or maybe it's nutrient related, or maybe a combination of all those different things. So first things first, thinking about your hair and the health of your hair really starts with food and water, like the basic foundational things that I talk about. I feel like almost every episode here, but it's worth saying because sometimes people want to gloss over that fact. They're like, tell me the product or the thing to buy versus how do I need to change how I'm eating or how I'm nourishing my body? Because that is going to be the first place where we see depletion of nutrients, depletion of minerals. If your body is not nourished with real food and nutrient dense food most of the time, you are going to have deficiency. Your needs are not being met in your body. So then it starts to pull nutrients and minerals from other places like your hair, like your skin, like your nails. And I think that's something that not a lot of people realize. So that is absolutely the place to start. Just making sure you are eating real food, like check in with yourself on that. A wide variety of nutrient dense food is the best. And also that you're well hydrated. Again, you can't compensate for things that you're not putting into your body. If your body's not being fed and taken care of on that level, it will show up in other places for sure. So in the context of foods, in terms of specific types of foods that help, there's 4 that really seem to matter, particularly when it comes to hair health. And that is number 1, minerals, like the way that our food is grown now, the influx that we have of different things like Roundup on our food and depletion of the soil and depletion of minerals that used to be there. It's really important to think about, are you getting enough minerals into your life? Because that is what helps hair follicles produce the way that they're supposed to and be full and like ready to do their job. So different ways that minerals can come into play are doing some minerals or electrolyte drops in your water at some point in the day. I will link my favorite brand below, but it's a really simple little thing that you could do for electrolyte and mineral balance in the body. Also including things like sea salt, like a real sea salt, not just a kosher bleached white salt, but like a true sea salt that's a little bit gray or a little bit pink or a little bit of an off-white color. So many natural minerals in it. And most of us have been taught to stay far away from salt. Sea salt is very different than table salt, how it interacts with our body. And it actually doesn't spike blood pressure the way that table salt does. So having real sea salt, sprinkled on your food is a great way to consistently get in more of those good minerals. Another category when it comes to food to think about, particularly as it relates to hair health and hair growth, is amino acids. And that is something that you can supplement with, but always the best version of things you're going to find are going to be through the real food itself, where natural amino acids come from, which the highest concentration is in grass-fed organic red meat. So even if that's something that you don't do, a lot of incorporating it in some way. We try at least once a week to have one of our dinners around grass-fed organic beef, whether that's tacos or it's meatballs, or you mix the beef with turkey if it's not your favorite type of meat, but some type of way that you're getting amino acids in your life. And I know protein is a huge craze right now and people are going crazy just on the protein only diet. That's not what I mean. I mean a balanced, normal diet where you're eating real food and you're incorporating protein at most of your meals, maybe not every single one of them, but it's a nutrient that you eat some of, both for blood sugar balance and regulation, and also for these amino acids and the way that it is such a nutrient dense food for our body. It's very stabilizing, it's very grounding, and it's very nourishing to the cells of our body, which are then responsible for creating the hormones needed for hair growth and to have the right nutrients and the right minerals there for your hair to grow and for it to be healthy comes from things like that. So make sure you're incorporating some kind of protein into your day, at least once a day, maybe twice a day. For some people, they do better with more. Some people, they do better with a little less, but everybody does great with some in terms of like overall nutrient needs of what our body needs. The fourth category to be thinking about and making sure that you are including in your life if taking care of your hair is important is healthy fats. And that can be through things like olive oil when you make salad dressings, or it could be eating some fatty fish, having things like salmon, sardines, tuna, avocado. Nuts have a lot of healthy fats in them. Olives are great. So again, you're incorporating these nutrient dense foods, but having a healthy fat or protein at every meal is a great way to both stabilize your blood sugar, making sure you're getting enough nutrients, and to help with satiety, like that you're actually satisfied by the food that you are eating. Things like cheese can have protein and a low healthy fat. So there's some foods that cover both of those bases, but making sure that those are a part of your daily diet in some way can be very helpful when it comes to hair care and hair growth. So a lot of women, I would say, are very depleted in minerals. They don't have a lot of amino acids because we've all been taught to stay away from red meat or that it's not as healthy or not as good. And not eating enough protein and just eating a lot of snacks and grabbing things on the go or eating off their kids' plates. It really does take some intention to be eating real food, but that is where you will get the biggest bang for your buck, truly. Like instead of taking a bunch of supplements, starting to eat foods that naturally contain the nutrients and minerals that you need is not only the way to do it that's very cost effective, but also that's the form that your body can absorb the best. So anytime you're doing supplements, it's not a given that your body can use or absorb it because the way that nutrients and minerals are packaged in nature, so the way that they come, how they are, is how we're supposed to eat them. So like an example would be something like eggs, all the worry about cholesterol and things in eggs. And so we started just eating the egg whites so that they're high protein and take away the egg yolk, which was supposedly bad for you at one stage in the game. And the way that our bodies are meant to digest eggs and all the beautiful nutrients that it does carry for brain health and choline and development of your brain cells. It's eating things like seaweed or kelp, things that have natural iodine in them. So you think about sushi and seaweed in that, or seaweed salads. Anytime you can sprinkle dried seaweed on things is absolutely so helpful for hair. It comes packaged in the way we're supposed to digest it, where the body can break it down the easiest and assimilate the nutrients. Okay, so this is why real food is so important and why I end up talking about it in almost every episode and almost every question that comes up in almost every topic, because that's the foundational baseline. And if you're looking to try and support your body or support certain areas of your body that may need more targeted help in this season of your life, making sure that the foundational things are locked in place first, because if you're just going for supplements or you're trying different products, it's not going to take the place of those foundational needs in your body. Okay? Got it? Got it. So next, let's talk about things that you can be doing along the same lines of supporting from the inside. Now, there's also certain herbs, things that in addition to your foundation of good real food that has lots of hydration and water, great minerals, great amino acids, great protein, great healthy fats, a few other categories are also really helpful specifically for hair. There are supplements that are helpful that specifically have a lot of herbs and these different elements in them that are so helpful for hair. So one of the things that I have found helpful is to take a supplement that is targeted specifically for hair. And I'm doing this personally because I'm like in my third postpartum. And of course, there's so many changes with your hair that happen, like thinning and breakage and falling out. And then you get the new growth and the weird baby hairs coming in. So right now I am definitely in this phase of supporting everything I can with my hair health and scalp health. So after I have had each of my babies, I have found this great supplement. I can link it below. It's by Moon Juice is the brand. It's called Super Hair. In it, it has things like biotin and kelp and horsetail and an herb called saw palmetto. And these are all natural herbs that are totally safe to take. And it's paired with a multivitamin. So for me in this postpartum season, this is my multi that I'm taking, and which I'm only taking because I am postpartum. I usually don't take a multivitamin, but taking it, and it also has methylated folate in it, which not every multivitamin has, but is very important to look for in case you have the gene mutation of MTHFR, which I happen to have, and so many women have. It's one of the gene mutations that is connected to miscarriage if the folate in your multivitamin is not the right form. So looking for a methylated folate in any multivitamin that you take is the way to go. Whether you have the gene mutation or not, it's a very helpful thing to look for. And so this supplement, again, helps with covering all my bases and trying to support my body, specifically in this season where it's been depleted for so long in pregnancy. And particularly my pregnancies are very depleting where I can't eat any real food. So that's like a double whammy. And I think the dose is 4 capsules, but I usually take just 2, and it's like a slower, steady dose, not too high on the B vitamins. But I'm also getting little doses in of these other things like biotin and kelp and horsetail and saw palmetto. And it really does help. I know that there's another popular brand that people use that's like a subscription model, and it's a little bit more expensive. I have been so happy with this particular brand, and it's working. My hair is coming back to life after these babies and helping with just regrowth and thickness and all of it. Something else that is also a helpful thing to think about is how you're taking care of your scalp. And this is something in the last 2 years in particular that I have been so interested in, because when you think about any area of the body, so much has to do with nutrients, like you're providing the raw materials that your body needs to do the job that it needs to do, but also about blood flow and lymph flow and making sure that your scalp is healthy. It's truly the root of your hair. And making sure that you're not just putting so many products on at all times that it clogs your scalp. Also doing some scalp detoxes and massaging. There's actually so many different connection points, like whether you want to think about it in terms of lymphatic drainage or you want to think about it in terms of stimulating the scalp from a physical level, and that helps stimulate hair growth. So thinking about your scalp as an important thing. So yes, the products that you're using, making sure they don't have parabens, they don't have sulfates, that a lot of hair products and skincare products really strip down every natural oil, and thinking about how often, how much you wash your hair. It's going to be a little bit different for everyone, but just the idea that less intervention is usually better when it comes to dousing your hair in tons of product, because then your scalp is having to detox and move that product out in some way. Otherwise, it gets in the way of how your hair actually grows. So doing things like finding a really good scalp massager. I have one, but I just found this new one. I'll link them both. That really gets into your scalp, and it's so relaxing. I do it in the morning, actually. And then there's one that you can do before a shower. So it's like maybe, I don't know, $5 or $6, and just makes such an impact. And it feels so good. Just loosening up things, getting the blood flow going, making sure you don't have a lot of product buildup on there before you wash your hair, before you're styling your hair. And that has really, really helped in like a big way. And something I was experimenting with for a while is doing some type of scalp detox, like on the days that you are washing your hair. So hopefully when you're taking care of your scalp, like your hair shouldn't have to be washed every day, and when you're switching to maybe better, cleaner products, there's not that sense of stripping from all the oils. So then your skin reproduces way more oil. So then you feel like you have to clean it in order for it to not feel greasy. That's a cycle that you can break when you start upgrading your products and your hair care products to the less toxic stuff. that happens on its own, right? A little less often, but then also taking care of your scalp, doing like scalp treatments before you wash has been something that I've been incorporating the last, 2 years. And I think it really has helped a lot. Something else that I'm doing specifically right now in this season, I found this really great stem cell serum almost that you put on your hair. It can be wet or dry. And you do it every day. It doesn't make your hair wet or then dry funky, which I thought it might, but it's just a plant stem cell serum that is really helping with hair growth. And it's natural, and it's from one of the brands that I really trust called Act+Acre. And I have been experimenting with that for the last 3 months. And I also think it's really working for hair growth. You can put it in specific places if you notice hair loss, or if you notice thinning or whatever may be going on. I haven't shared a ton about it because, again, I like to try things for at least 3 months before I share or have an opinion on things. And so that has also been another physical thing to do and take care of. And as part of my morning routine now is to do a quick scalp massage, brush my hair, and then do a few drops of the scalp serum and rub it in. And then I'm kind of good to go for the day. But I've definitely noticed a difference with that too. Next would be just thinking about your daily products, the shampoo, the conditioner, hair masks. I mean, a lot of people have different textures to their hair and need different things. Some run more oily, some run more dry. Mine is definitely more coarse and dry. So I am always leaning towards the more hydrating versions of less toxic shampoos. I mean, I have tried so many, and I think that now we're at a time where there are so many really good options that work great. But for a while there, it was really hard to find one. So if you're coming from conventional products where you're really used to the soapy bubbles and the suds, that doesn't happen as much with natural shampoos, because a lot of that soapy bubble texture is all the sulfates, right? And a lot of the chemicals that we're trying to stay away from. So it can be a little bit of a change at first, and maybe even fragrance, it's going to lean more towards natural essential oils versus these man-made created fragrances that are also pretty dangerous for our health. So there's differences in texture, there's differences in smell, but I think now there's at least 2 or 3 brands that I love and switch between depending what's going on. So I can link some of those below, but just making sure that you look up your shampoo, look up your conditioner. You can use an app like EWG to see how your products are ranking, and tending towards ones that, again, maybe it's not totally 100% clean, but it at least doesn't have a lot of the bigger dangerous chemicals in it. Knowing that your scalp is part of your skin absorbs everything that we put on it and in it. And so even though it's something where you're washing and then rinsing pretty quickly, it is, I think, helpful to learn and think about what are in your products. And then it has this secondary effect of when you start using stuff that is a little bit cleaner and a little bit less toxic, your hair, it's no longer dependent on these different products of suds and soap and lather, and which makes our skin produce even more oil, because then all the oil gets stripped down and then it produces more. And then you're in this sort of like vicious cycle where I have found with using more of the natural hair care lines that you can go a little bit longer between washes, and that it's not as noticeable, right, of a difference in between. And I love to do a weekly hair nourishment routine where maybe I'll do more of the scalp massager in the shower. There's another product that I sometimes use, like a scalp treatment, which you can also make your own with something like jojoba oil or castor oil and rosemary. Rosemary is like a great herb for hair growth and stimulation. And there's lots of recipes you can find online for that. But some type of scalp nourishment routine, and then like a deep conditioning mask at least once a week, or it's just like a nice thing to incorporate. So again, all of these things come from a place of more love, more nourishment, more tending, and more care for your hair. And there's something else too. I've been thinking about the styling part of it. So this is something that I don't really talk about a lot because I feel like it is quite an investment of a tool. But 2 years ago, I was getting really frustrated, feeling like I was doing all of the right things, eating all the right foods and having the right supplements and doing scalp care and scalp massage and good quality products, and still feeling like my hair was so dry and so fried. And I remember talking to someone and it was like, what's the hair dryer? I'm like, it's the hair dryer I've had probably since college. I'm like, I don't know. I like didn't really believe the fancy dryers or the fancy stylers like the Dyson or the Shark. And one time, I think like a Black Friday deal, I saw a deal on the Dyson and it was one that does the curls and it speeds up your drying time. And I finally was like, you know what, I'm going to try this because this feels worth it to me. And also I'm going to do an experiment. Like, is this actually worth it? I tried my sister's first and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty nice. And it uses air instead of heat to dry and dry so much faster. And I'm like, you know what? In this stage of my life, when I do wash my hair, I do need it to be quick. If I could cut down that drying time, that would feel like a huge life improvement. So looking at the tools that you're using, trying to stay away from the super hot, scorching tools, whether that's a hair dryer or it's a straightener or it's a curling iron, trying to go more the route of ceramic and higher quality tools. And I know that's not something that is always accessible to everybody, but I have definitely noticed a difference in that, because if you're thinking about this in a long-term, bigger picture of what you're doing day in, day out, even if I'm washing and drying my hair, once a week, twice a week, that adds up over time. And so investing in a tool that does it quickly and without as much damage has been really helpful. But I looked at it for like a couple of years, I want to say, before I took that jump. But I am very happy that I did. And I think it's something we're going to have for a long time. It's like similar to a Vitamix where you're like, oh, that price tag is a lot. But then when you think about how often you use it, and it's one of those things that definitely feels worth it. So that would be the other thing to be looking at, like how long have you had your styling tools? Do some of them maybe need to go, or find upgraded versions where it's not as damaging to the hair itself? So those are all the things that I have been learning over the last couple of years and have been implementing, and really am in a stage and season of trying to support my hair and hormones, and coming back from a season of depletion in the body. So I'm now very much in a season of constant and continual nourishment for every area of my body. And hair is one of those areas. And I'm sure some of you listening are going to be like, that's too much work. This is like too much. I'm, happy with my routine, or this is not worth it. But to me, these all feel like small things that I can be doing daily, whether it's targeted herbs or supplements that I'm taking, or ways to incorporate some of those foods that do have a lot of the minerals and aminos and protein and healthy fats naturally. I'm going to have to eat anyways. So I do have that in the back of my mind. And then as well as upgrading your products and the tools for your hair. So as always, and with everything, is usually an inside out game. Like you can't only make changes on the outside and you'll only get so far. It kind of takes doing both things at the same time so that your body does feel fully supported and has the things that it needs to do what it needs to do. Our bodies are infinitely wise in that way. When they have the raw materials, we usually get the results that we're wanting or hoping for when we provide the right environment for those things to flourish. So I hope that this was helpful, and let me know if you guys have any other tips or little hacks or things to share. It's always so fun to hear from everyone. Hope you guys have a great week ahead.
If you enjoyed this episode and want more like it, make sure you're subscribed to the Simply Real Life podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and maybe share it with a friend or two. That would mean the world.